Look, I'm up on my pledge, bitch. I'm decked up on blue bills, and I won't stop until the cash pit look like fall leaves in the backfield. Tell her out of my face if she coming with that bullshit. Quick to save my peace, I'm so after school special. She brainy, but them jeans looking like paint. I got a blessing. Niggas talk a whole lot, knowing damn well they really can't press us. I notated on leaflet, really up a few levels with it. Like way out the way from them. Can't see me, you can't meddle with us. E&J in my Earl Grey hood bunched up with the cheese eggs and a dumb face, no stunner shade still turned up. Then had it poppin' in broad day, that's Avi. Flower child from the sun rays, but I run fake, got a punch drunk. My providence, they don't love us, they rather treat us like an animal. They wonder why we on ape shit, escaping shit, I'm off the cannabis. Middle fingers in tandem, going tantrum, yelling fuck 12 with a big smile, young phantom. Hi, mama on camera, coming live from the mud pit, we don't take posts for granted. Plan to keep it stress-free, live and die young, I leave it on the canvases. Split up some with my better half, trade day like it's a holiday. My shit on dumb flame to the wheels kill, I'm on road rage. My shit on dumb flame to the wheels fall, I'm on road rage. Hopping on around, I said high up, been trying to kill emotion. Hopping on around, I said high up, yeah. Hey, fuck the ceiling, I've been living out the moon roof with it. I'm in tune with my senses, kill the tune with my sentence every time. Yeah, I've been in the mood, got a feeling. What we doing, got a feeling, they ain't used to a nigga like me. To the pledge when I said it, no caps in the body till I see blood. Still ride for it, but a couple flats up in down better. Been slave to a 9 to 5, now we doing I'm stopping the beat to the trap. Been slave to a 9 to 5, now we stopping the beat to the trap. I've been on around, but I am been trying to kill emotion, yeah. But I am been. Bitch, I'ma go all the way up. They keep on calling my phone, they catching on to the buzz. I got it out of the mud, but I'ma go all the way up. Bad girl from the sewer, taking me out of this world, bitch, I'ma go wave. Nice guy with a cold shoulder, you be cool, but I don't know you. Wrote a flower and I'm off the potion, give me superpowers and I won't stop to the bank roll on supermassive. Big bang for the space chatter, way up in the squad NASA. I'm filled with the dark magic, subtle flex when I run a race. Tell these rap niggas eat my dust, little baddie off the cellular. Talking life and I was set it up, I'm a sharpshooter, yeah, Will Smith, call me Prince Park, let me freshen up. Bay boy on a level up, way up, get a nebulas, I'm never copping a chain, cause I see it all through the frames. And I leave it all on the pages, feeling like they won't be locked in the cage. They want us all in the fake shit, but I'ma go all the way A with it, cause I don't feel all the way safe. Spray the champagne shower up in the air, stunner goggles, what the fuck is a flute? Untamed and she wild off the goose, ghost ride, bitch, I come to the roof. Fuck 12, cause they all on my tail, hella wild and I break all the rules. Chill, bro, you way out of line. Yeah, I know it's a mood. Bitch, I'ma go all the way up. They keep on calling my phone, they catching on to the buzz. I got it out of the mud, but I'ma go all the way up. Bad girl from the sewer, she taking me out of this world, bitch, I'ma go all the way up. Got the spinning, got the candy spinning, I'm outrageous with it, going crazy with it. Got the phrase jumping up the page, gifted, got the waves pushing, got the label stripping, got the trap booming, jumping out the speakers, drip on me, jumping off the diesel. Cold wristed, couldn't take the shit, bitch. Nah, bottle fisted, cooking the bars, turn a lab into a living kitchen. Niggas grimace when I water with it, subtle flexing to the candid image. Come from pushing in the S-type with no license, gas load, the windows tinted. Still couldn't see me with the zoom on your little vision. Nah, we are not the same, we got different lenses. No one's snapping like we something real vivid, keep it realistic. Just split it with my day one. Got the label making bank runs, kiss a train of thought like a parade, huh? I'm the type to get a late start. You the type to be afraid, huh? I'm the type to never have things. You the type to have it made, huh? Yeah, wave. And I keep fuel to the flame, huh? How they got me going this hard? Really, I'm the type to never say much. Vice grip, got the game clutch. Every song make the stage rush. I always said making money might change things, but never let it make us. Bitch, I'ma go all the way up. They keep on calling my phone, they catching on to the buzz. I got it out of the mud, but I'ma go all the way up. Bad girl from the sewer, she taking me out of this world, bitch, I'ma go all the way up. They keep on calling my phone, they catching on to the buzz. I got it out of the mud, bitch, I'ma go all the way up. They keep on calling my phone, they catching on to the buzz. I got it out of the mud, bitch, I'ma go all the way up. Bitch, I'ma go all the way up.
What's good? What's good? What's good? We are back. FMP Foundational Manhood Podcast. I'm your host, DS1 Worlds. I'm here with my brother, the Book of Ronin, and of course, we are FMP, and we are back with episode 6, When Men Fail Their Foresight.
Money Graham.
So, make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure y'all get down in the comment section and leave your thoughts. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Also find us on Instagram at Foundational Manhood Podcast. So without further ado, like we always do, 5-minute fire watch, my brother. Salute.
I salute, bro. And it's time that, brothers, we take time in being the visionaries that we were built to be. Now, shout out to my brother DS1 who has a following, and he calls them visionaries because it's a compliment. We're meant to see beyond the bullshit, not just around us, but within us. And a lot of times we've been programmed to accept substandard narratives, people, situations, and even states of mind. And many times over, this leads to a lot of health issues, mainly depression, anger, cardiovascular situations. Across the board, you can always lead it because we've always had these nonsensical doubts about what we're capable of, what we're meant to be, what we're not supposed to do, which is realize our greatness and stand up and stand out. Understanding as being a visionary, you got to do some shit scared. Sometimes you dreaming big as you should, you're going to have to cut certain people off. Every anchor isn't meant to hold somebody down in the right way. Them streetlight conversations you have, everybody talking about what they're going to do, what they should have been, what they're going to be. Imagine hell as being on the same corner, talking the same shit, but time is slipping by. A little more gray is showing. Some of the people that promised to go do something, they're no longer there because either they passed away through their vices or they took bad advice, both on and offline. You being a visionary is going to make things uncomfortable for people because in the way you have to move, you're going to have to limit your exposure to certain people who birthed you, some people you grew up with, but they were only bookmarks into your evolution chapter, which is your life. So, you being a visionary, you have to see great things, not just within yourself, but the people along the way. As much as I see great things in my brother, I know I'm my hardest critic. I know he's a very analytical guy, but seeing great things manifest through him in his own pace, it motivates me to step my game up, push a little harder, which is all of us brothers are supposed to do. When you see your brother eat, you make sure he eats. But you got to be able to sustain and feed yourself. Not just food, but substance. Not just animosity and overcome, but peace of mind and the power of your presence. Remember that when you wake up. Remember that when you go out and sit with your peers. Have those discussions about ideas, businesses, relationships, solutions. If you value their time, if you value their presence, you must nurture and appreciate their growth. Toilet water seeks its own level. But do understand, it's very difficult and challenging to accept the fact that you are the shit. And you have to drop that bullshit and move on to better shit. That's been your 5-minute fire watch.
Salute, my brother. That was a hell of a 5-minute fire watch, man.
Yeah.
Today's show, episode 6, when men fail their foresight.
Oh man.
When men fail their foresight. So let's start off this episode with a shout out to all the supporters, first of all.
Yes,
First
sir.
and foremost.
Salute to the visionaries.
Salute to everyone who support FMP.
Mhm.
But like we do FMP style over here, let's start off with a definition because we don't want you guys to start off reading the title and just like where are they going with this one? So the definition of foresight: the ability to predict or the action of predicting what will happen or needed or be needed in the future. Let's read it again. The ability to predict or the action of predicting what will happen or be needed in the future. Forethought, anticipation, planning, provision.
Uh-oh.
Provision. Now, a lot of you guys love talking about provision, providing. Black men need to provide provision. But y'all forget a key ingredient that's a part of y'all provision. It is foresight.
Yeah.
As a man, you must have the ability or develop the ability to predict or to take action on things that may be needed in the future. Like, for example, we do not predict or do the right things to prevent us having bad health in the future. Where's the provision in that? Yeah, you provide all the food in the house, but then that food that you provide later on kills you. Sounds like a lack of provision.
And shitty problem solving skills. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, but this is why provision is first, bro, because if you don't anticipate a problem, what would there be to solve?
True.
The problem will solve your ass.
Yeah.
And this is what's been happening to us as black men. The shit that we choose not to foresee as being a problem later turns around and kills us.
True. And that's why you got a lot of guys on and offline who may be book smart, but a lot of them are interpersonally and socially retarded. And that's dangerous because, yeah, you can read a lot of books to get a job and do certain things and sound intelligent. But what about those things that you have yet to learn? You don't have guys thinking about preventive measures as far as like first aid, security in the home, self-defense, the need and the importance of emotional intelligence. If you're talking about leadership, things of that nature.
Which those things help you with planning. Because as a leader, we must what? Plan.
Yeah.
When we're speaking about foresight, you know what else comes into play, bro?
What's that?
Discernment.
Oh shit, that word.
that word, exactly. The word that is constantly misused and used out of context all the time.
Yeah.
But how could you speak on men having discernment when you're just deciding to go somewhere else and be a trick.
On impulse.
Right. When you're talking about discernment, you're speaking on foresight.
Yeah.
The ability to see things down the road. And when you're able to do that, you're able to prevent things. And as my father always told me, son, an ounce of prevention beats a pound of cure.
Damn right.
And this is the problem with a lot of us brothers. We are looking for a cure today instead of going back and creating a system together to prevent the problems from becoming a disease, from becoming an infection.
Yeah.
For us to cure.
Yeah.
We're not, we don't look to prevent things anymore.
Yeah, we're more reactive. And when I think of foresight, in a sense, I think of, like brain trust, or we need of those who can see things, discuss things, disseminate things, and break them down to where we can understand them and move accordingly. In the military, we have things as far as like forward observers. They're out there marking targets, surveying the land, so that way the people in the back can make proper provisions and learn how to have an effective point of attack. And when they do, they make everything count, because you got to be accountable for the logistics about your rounds. We've had too many Pyrrhic victories out here where guys are just blowing their resources and loads literally over something that wasn't worth the effort or time.
That's powerful, bro. And go into that, you being an ex-Marine, and with you still carrying those things into your everyday life. Speak on what's happening to men due to the lack of foresight.
Well, number one, I'm a Marine all day, every day. So no X to it. It's all day, every day. And what you're seeing out here is there's a lot of guys who've been broken early. A lot of their foresight has been calcified because not always to their fault, but some people know when you allow your sons, especially, to have foresight, their gift, they won't become the simps you see today. They'll move different. They'll go against your programming as they're supposed to, but they'll be the men that most want to have. But right now, those type of guys you can barely afford to have for so many reasons. And guys being able to trust their foresight, cultivate their foresight, they tend to live more fruitful and better lives because, yeah, they're going to have their share of challenges. They're going to appreciate what they've earned. They're able to trust themselves in leading people forward, especially those who you put in charge as far as your legacy and other intimate details. The vetting process is powerful. That's why you need your foresight more than anything. That's what I'm saying.
I'm glad you spoke on that, bro, because I'm noticing that, and this is why I asked you that, because and the reason why I said X is because of the military being an institution, and you're no longer a part of that institution. So do you think that a lot of guys are, due to the lack of foresight, after these men leave these institutions like the military, like college,
Yeah.
why do a lot of these guys' life fall apart? And a lot of, and I'm asking this too because we visited Skid Row.
Yeah.
Where we drove through there. And a lot of those guys are not just your normal civilians.
No.
A lot of those guys were in higher institutions in society, and they were once someone. So why do you think a lot of those guys lack foresight? with being in those institutions?
A lot of them lack foresight when it comes to like in the military, especially. Not being a part of the institution doesn't mean the leadership, the tenets, and the standards didn't leave me. So
Right.
when you have that foresight, you start looking at your standards and how can I maintain these and moving in these different situations and places because I'm always going to be tested. That's why we promote being men of principles and purpose. You got to be steady. You got to be that rock. When everybody's falling apart, they'll be looking to you for solutions. So when you have guys who either become homeless or lose their place, adversity did a number to certain people. It's like some guys, they reached their boiling point and they cracked, or they were in a position and thought, I'm this guy, and they forgot all the tenets that brought them there, and then when they lost it, they lost it. So when you don't stand true when it comes to who you are, what you're about, and allowing your foresight to govern your steps, you're going to slip and fall, and sometimes you can't get back up as readily as you can, or if at all. So with foresight, you help move you with measured steps, especially when you're a family man or man in general, especially in this day and age. When you move about, you start thinking, who am I with? It's your ability to read the situations that have yet to happen, or taking the information that's going on right now and governing your steps forward or your reaction afterwards. But you got some guys who just want to dismiss the red flags around them and they pay the consequences heavily. So across the board, it's like it's a matter of survival. It's really a survival tool. Really is. I don't know if I probably answered the question. I was just
No. You answered it. You answered it, bro. Because as it's promoted,
yeah,
to us, that it's best for us to go through these institutions and to develop the institutional mindset.
yeah,
And I think that is what destroys Black men's foresight.
yeah,
Because we don't understand that the lifestyle that is promoted to us is not for us.
no,
It is actually designed to go against us and to destroy us. So a lot of times when we get in these institutions and we don't have that level of discernment as you did, which
yeah,
is why, they deemed you what they deemed you, because of your foresight, because of your level of discernment. You didn't allow them to make you.
no,
And I think the reason why a lot of guys fall off is because that's all they saw themselves ever being.
yeah. And, there's
And
a lot of shitbirds are slaves to lack of substance.
right. And that is an example of when a man's fail sight fails him, because you only see yourself as being that American soldier. What
That's
about what about when you're no longer active, when you're no longer there? Then who are you? See, you were able to develop that, you know?
well, as we all can, because like uh, here's the thing about guys getting into situations like as they do.
Mm-hmm.
Foresight is an internal securities measure. It is.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
they get caught up on the external, certain titles, certain trinkets, certain situations. And when they allow the external to run them, they lose sight of the internal. Their foresight basically calcifies. They make stupid ass decisions. They're no longer governing themselves. They're being led by impulse. They're led by what, a chick's reaction. They're led by a lot of conflict creators' narratives. They don't have a stopgap. Like, look, they don't assess the things that they're being told or shown and move accordingly as to, their principles. So they're a slave to their impulses, that they're looking for the next high. They're no longer in control. And they pay for it dearly.
And I'm glad, bro, I'm glad you said that foresight is an internal thing.
Oh yeah.
Because guys do get caught up in having those titles of, oh, I have this degree, oh, I was in this fraternity, I was in this part in this war, and
Make this much, and okay.
right. I got this bag, and I worked here, and I'm a high value man, and that BS. When it's like, okay, but if you take off high value from man, what are you? If you take off military away from man, what are you? If you take college off of man, what are you? If you take corporate off of man, what are you?
Yeah.
You still supposed to be a what? A man.
Yeah.
And a man does what? A man develops himself along with the help of his brothers. So a lot of times guys fall off because they don't understand the purpose of the institution. You're just supposed to go in these institutions, help add on to what you have and what you got going on to continue to move further in life. And we have to start teaching this to brothers, bro, because a lot of us black men don't understand that. Other men understand that the military, college, all of these things are stepping stones for you to become who you want to be in life. It is not to make you who you are.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying, bro? A lot of other guys, when they go into the police department, it's to help them develop to who they want to be in the end. Because if you notice, a lot of guys who go into law enforcement and they go into military and all of that stuff, later on, they become something bigger.
Yeah.
A lot of guys go into politics.
Yeah.
That's why most of your politicians were in the military. A lot of your senators and all of these guys were military guys. And after they came out of the military, they were police officers.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't Foresight help you establish a foundation?
Yes, it does. Yeah, because that's how you develop a plan for not only your life, but your family.
Yeah.
It's through Foresight.
And when your foresight is flimsy, you can't complain about what comes with it.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
You're left to deal with, you trying to execute a faulty plan.
Yeah. And you've seen that with a lot of guys who follow their internet idols' narratives, and it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, it's like you didn't use no discernment, no foresight to disseminate what you're seeing. Like, wait a minute, I'm outside. I know those things can happen. I've seen it happen. It's happened to me. But what am I doing different? Foresight helps you with course correction.
And I'm glad you spoke on that, bro, because course correction is also part of having a functional foresight, because not all the time what we plan is going to actually happen.
No.
So not all the time, fellas, is your plans faulty because it didn't work. Some shit just not gonna work.
And some things you are glad didn't work.
Right. Exactly. And some things you wish never worked.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother thing.
That's a whole nother show.
Right. But I'm glad that you brought that up, because fellas, you got to understand that you always have the power to course correct. Don't ever get down on yourself and think that, oh, I'm a poor planner, oh, I'm a poor leader. No, some shit just not gonna work. And then sometimes, to go back to what we spoke about in the previous show, man, your boldness can make some shit work.
Oh yeah.
And you got to have a level of boldness to want to course correct, to want to fix it.
Yeah.
So course correction is extremely important, bro. I'm glad you brought that up.
And it's like, I'll say, using you for example, it's like you got a lot of people who believe, um, how are you seeing these things? How do you have the audacity to do these things? Because you're looking at things in a very unapologetic fashion. Because you're like, not just how this is going to affect me, but if I'm talking about heal before you build, I'm not just saying this to myself, I'm saying this to my brothers. You've been staying on the message for a long time. Like with the foresight, it keeps you in alignment of where you're going. Like if I'm about this, if I stand on this as a man, I'm supposed to be respected. My foresight is supposed to help navigate these ways for me. And it's going to be rough situations, but you stand tall. That's what we encourage our brothers to do. And that's what's I find motivating when you do your channel. A lot of messages hit home. Sometimes I don't even chat a lot. I got to sit back and listen. Admittedly, I have to sit back and listen.
I mean, bro, you know, we pretty much feed off each other, man, you know. And a lot of brothers got to understand that this is why they always say, if you don't plan, you plan to fail.
Yes, sir.
Because that speaks to a man's foresight.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a plan on what you're trying to do and what you're trying to create, what the reason why you fail is because you cannot see what's coming towards you, what you're faced with.
Yeah.
Because with every goal comes challenges.
Always.
So, and with these challenges, you have to know how to deal with them. But if you don't even see them coming, how you gonna know how to deal with them? And this is what happens when you have a flaccid foresight. You don't even see it coming. You actually don't even expect it to come because it's like you just living a life where foresight even isn't even important to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, or foresight is something that's far-fetched.
Yeah.
You know, so we definitely got to stay focused on this, fellas, because this is a part of our nature. When you're speaking on the 4 P's of a man's nature: provision, problem solving, protection, and procreation. Part of provision is your foresight. It's
And I
not
want
just you paying all the bills and bringing home the bacon,
yeah.
because you can be bringing home the bacon to someone who just want to eat the shit,
Yeah.
who just want to consume, and everything you try to build, they consume it.
Yeah.
Because they don't understand the importance of your foresight.
And I was sitting there thinking, just now you triggered that. Word came to mind with foresight, and it was like forbearance. And by definition, it's a refraining from the enforcement of something, such as a debt, right, or obligation that is due. So in my mind, I'm thinking a lot of times they don't want the problem solving element because of the consequences that come from the fuck shit they do in the presence of you.
Exactly. And a lot of times when a man has foresight, he usually calls that shit out.
Yeah, and that's a problem because it goes against their narrative. And then the other definition is the act of forbearing, otherwise patience. He appreciates he appreciated his wife's forbearances and the quality of being forbearing, leniency. Every guy does not have to fly off the fucking handle in every situation. We gotta start learning how to read situations better. We're talking about learning to understand the necessity of body language, learn how to read the room, learn how to see things. Like when you're talking about foresight, you start forecasting the actions of people, which goes into the vetting process. Not just who you lay with, but who you eat with.
Yep. Because at the end of the day, it all goes back to your foresight. What does this person or do these group of people match my plan of action, where I want to go.
Yeah.
Are these the kind of people I want to be with when I'm rich? Then why the fuck am I hanging out with them now while I'm broke?
And is this who I want representing me? Because my reputation should mean something.
Exactly. It's supposed to represent how I think.
Yeah.
So the people around me and the people, my spouse and all of those things are supposed to be a representation of that.
Yeah.
And when a man foresight fails them, it's the complete opposite. And it's not because you're a failure, fellas. We're not here to get down on you, to tell you you're a failure, to tell you you're a loser, any of that.
Yeah.
Because you can always do what I've done, what my brother has done, which is course correct.
Yeah.
Which is course correct, and fix the shit. And that may take time, but you must be willing to do it.
And to compliment my brother saying, it's like, how much longer do we need to be comfortable being our own breaches of security?
Mm-hmm.
Why are we opening people up to destroy us, to pick at us, to be in these panels where they're talking about these dudes ain't shit and blah, blah, blah. If it doesn't fly, let it apply. That's something I learned from the military. So again, you always assess the source. If you got chicks out here talking about these guys are shitbirds and blah, blah, blah. All right. So if that's not how you move, how's it apply to how you're moving? You got to vet the situation in yourself all times. All times.
Right. And mainly vet yourself.
Yes, sir.
Because we're speaking on your foresight, not the foresight of someone else. So you always got to vet yourself, and to keep yourself, keep yourself on an up and up. Because and this is where agency comes in. Because a lot of brothers make the wrong decision, but just with a little agency, a help from your brother, could get you back on course. Like, hey, bro, you fucked up here. You shouldn't have did this here. But now it's time for course correction, and let's make it right. Let's get back on the ball. Let's get back in the game, and let's get back to winning. But you gotta understand, fellas, that you only become a failure when you give up.
Bro, I know, I'm glad you brought this up, because me personally, I know feel the same way. I am sick and tired of this bitch ass mindset where you got dudes running around here talking about y'all can't tell me nothing, you ain't my daddy, and all this other shit, like a chicken head would. We're not above reproach. We need checks and balances. If you got people who really fuck with you and love you, like, hey, you can't be afraid of, look, bro, you fucking up. Like, this ain't you. This is unsatisfactory. Because just like in the military, if you have a fire team, one shitbird can get the whole division or more killed. One. If I fall, you fall. We got to be accountable for each other, but mainly for ourselves. This whole rugged individualism shit, this shit has not helped us. Not one bit. Now, granted, where there's some certain things or storms we have to go alone, but we have to appreciate the benefits of agency. Like, you have somebody to vent to, or even, so, give you that needed support to keep you on point. But that's what we're supposed to do. Men talking about iron sharpens iron, and there's too many cotton balls out here bumping against each other out here. It's just looking mad weird. Bad weird. Just weird
and that's real, bro. If our foresights are off, then it won't be iron and sharper than iron.
No,
it won't be. It'll just be two pebbles rubbing up against each other, and that's what we have. That's what we see a lot. Here in social media, you have a bunch of guys just sitting around reveling in bullshit and thinking that's being a man, and that's what we supposed to be doing, and that's the agenda. No, it's not the agenda.
Yeah.
No, it's not. If we don't have a a sound plan like me and you developed, bro.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's fellas, you're chasing your goddamn tail. And guess what's gonna happen? Just like a dog when it chases tail, when it's get tired, it's gonna pass the hell out.
Or hit the wall.
Right. And I'm gonna just leave y'all with this question. Aren't you tired of running in circles?
Oh, bro, before we head out, there's like, what'd you say about dick riding?
It's the worst form of transportation.
And see, just to salute my brother on that, when you out here dick riding, your foresight has been diminished. It's diminished.
Completely.
Because you out here dick riding, you're that other person's bitch. They're leading you. Now, granted, there's rank and file and shit like that, because great leaders create great leaders. But dick riders, they sit there and like, you know, they're disposable. They become the hemorrhoids to the leaders of your shit.
Yeah, because they wrap around. but in closing, fellas, aren't you tired of running in circles?
Yeah.
The reason why a lot of y'all are running in circles is because y'all haven't developed a plan and stuck to it. Y'all allow everything to distract y'all. Instagram, who talking about who, the new Jays, Balenciaga, the new Mary Jeans, Brittany Renner, OnlyFans. Y'all let all
Ray.
of this shit, right? Y'all let all of this shit distract you from staying on your plan or preventing you from making one. Fellas, take at least an hour a day and just write down some things that you want to do.
Yeah.
Write a list of things that you are supposed to be doing and develop a plan around those things, and you got to begin to stick to it. This is why we as men with foresight, you have deadlines.
Yes, sir.
Because with a plan, there is a estimated time that we will actually accomplish that plan.
Yeah.
So that's the importance of your foresight, fellas. And when you plan to fail, you fail.
Yes, sir.
So what's your closing remarks, bro? And we're gonna wrap this up.
While dick riding may make you feel full, it'll make you feel full in the wrong and most fucked up ways. Use your foresight to lead you to better things. Navigate forward in a military and intelligent fashion. Because out here, when you are pursuing your purpose, it literally is war. You have to defend the home front. You have to defend all fronts, especially your mental, your internal. People who's supposed to represent you, that's your fire team. If you're going to be a fire team leader or know your position in that team, you got to move effectively. And foresight is literally a survival mechanism. It's a matter of life or death out here. So stop dick riding. No, you digital deep throaters, fucking cut that shit out.
Real talk. Real talk, man, because that's why a lot of y'all are drowning. Don't let that go over your head.
In smegma.
So this is episode 6 of FMP. Make sure y'all get down in the comment section. Leave your thoughts on today's episode. Also, make sure y'all follow us, Foundational Manhood Podcast, on Instagram. My brother, the Book of Ronan. I'm your host.
Money Graham.
DS1 Ross, man. Brothers, always remember that we're our own agency. And what else, my brother?
Never allow your comfort zone to become your coffin.
We're going to catch y'all on the next episode.
Peace.
Peace.